So you've been to 78 countries.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people watching this haven't even left their state.
Yeah.
And they're confined. How has traveling the world sort of created your view on the world?
So 3 ways to learn: education, conversation, observation.
And are you a fan of charities?
Big time.
You don't feel like some charities are a scam though?
No, some charities are a scam.
Welcome to the Digital Social Hour. I'm your host, Sean Kelly, here with my co-host, Wayne Lewis.
What up, what up?
And our guest today, Tim Storey. How's it going?
Tim Storey's
Good to be here. I'm loving these studios.
Not bad, right? It's a pleasure to have you. For people that don't know your story, could you give a quick summary?
Yeah, born and raised Southern California, Los Angeles, and loved sports as a kid, but also cared about people. And I decided to go to seminary to be a humanitarian. And that's what I've been doing all my life.
Wow.
78 countries deep.
That's insane.
Nice.
So what is a humanitarian exactly?
I think humanitarian is things you guys do. I just put a name to it, and that is looking out for others, lifting people up, finding answers, looking for a way where there was no way. And so part of that was being raised in a family that was very confined and conflicted. And then I started to find answers through a lot of mentors and tutors. And when I found those answers, I'm like, man, this is dope. I can help other people. And then that's what I've spent my life doing right now.
Wow. And you mentioned going to Disneyland was kind of the spark that changed your life, right?
Yeah, that was cool. So I was 7. And somebody gave my family tickets to Disneyland because we could not afford them. And man, I'd never seen anything like it. Like someone could drop trash and then someone was picking it up. And then you see Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, everything was right there. So I think that so much of how we grow is observation. So that observation of Disney was so dope, because I saw this life that was beyond, and it just reminded me of the person that I knew I was going to be.
Mine was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Yeah,
That changed your life?
that was not changed my life, but it gave me a different outlook. Gave me a different perspective, although it was fake.
Yeah.
I wanted to shoot for that.
Right.
I wanted to shoot for that.
No,
So
but that makes
I
sense
can relate
because
to
you
it.
saw how they lived on that TV show. And even aesthetically, when you saw the house that they lived in.
I wanted to live like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been to 78 countries. A lot of people watching this haven't even left their state.
Yeah.
And they're confined. How has traveling the world sort of created your view on the world?
So 3 ways to learn: education, conversation, observation. So that's why I'm so excited about the podcast you guys are doing, because on the conversational side, we're really missing a lot. So when I went to Sweden the first time when I was 20, I've now been there 68 times. I went there in seminary to go speak to just schools about dreaming. I'd created this dream course at 20. And I just sit there and I talk with these Swedes, and I noticed that a lot of them didn't brag. I could be with a really wealthy guy and he didn't even tell me about everything he had. And I learned a lot about different cultures on how they did things, how they saw success. And then, so I really expanded myself through traveling.
So you mentioned a dream course. What role do dreams play in your life? Because they play a pretty big role in mine. So I'm curious how you view dreams.
Yeah, so to me, as kids, we have what I call a miracle mentality. A miracle is something extraordinary, uncommon, not regular, not the norm. So you ask little kids, what do you want to be when you get older? If they're 5, 6, 7, an astronaut. I want to be like LeBron, a little girl. I'm a princess. I'm a queen. I'm going to rule the world. It's always something super, super imaginative. And so I think that this miracle mentality is innate. And because of my spiritual background, what I say is an utmost God did not create almost children. So Oprah Winfrey asked me, at what point did you know you were Tim Storey? And I said, when I was 10. But we were broke when I was 10. But I knew I was Tim Storey at 10.
Right.
So you were broke at 10. What role did money play throughout your life? Because now, obviously, you're successful.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about money is once I saw that you could make it and it could help people, it could help your mother, it could help her pay her bills. So that's when I talked a man into giving me a job as a dishwasher at age 15 and a half. So there was a white guy by the name of Mr. Anderson, and he had like a cool restaurant. And so I went up to him and I said, hey, you know, I'm a good athlete. My name is Timmy Storey, and I want a job. And so I talked him into hiring me as a dishwasher, but I like getting those little checks. But those little checks meant that I was adding to my mother to take pressure off her. So to me, finances and getting some money at that time, then a lot of money later, was about leverage and being able to help somebody else.
Right. So when people say that money doesn't equal happiness, I feel like I hate that phrase so much because I feel like that phrase was created to keep a certain group of us in bondage, to keep us like striving for less or be complacent with where we're at in life. So I can definitely understand like the driving force when it comes to money. You're right, it helps you, it makes your life better.
Yeah, it definitely does. So I agree with what you're saying. So to me, money gets me out of the center seat on an airplane when I don't want to be in the center seat and coach.
Facts.
So I feel like probably if I went into your childhood, there's times in life you felt like you're in the center seat.
The whole time.
Right? And there's no elbow room.
Yeah.
So that's how I was raised, with no elbow room. And then when I began to see how other people lived, by being like in Paris, France, and being in Italy at 21, 22, 23, all by myself with my little passport and my little humanitarian self, I started thinking, man, these are not like people living in the center seat with no elbow room. So I'm gonna find that way.
Right. So you're a humanitarian. Are you a fan of charities?
Big time. Yeah, I spend so much of my life on the charity side, and I continue to work with prison reform. Robert Downey Jr. is a great friend of mine. He started something to help incarcerated people and brought me and a few people on.
Wow.
And we started going in and educating people in the prison system, and then helping them when they got out. So I'm deep in that space. I'm also deep in the recovery space for mental health. I'm the only mindset coach in gaming. You know, as you guys know more than me, we have over 3 billion gamers. Right. So I'm the only mental health coach that we know of in the whole gaming capacity.
Oh.
You don't feel like some charities are a scam, though?
No, some charities are a scam.
A lot of them are a scam.
No, some charities are a scam. Just like I came out of the Laker game last week and they were cooking some bad hot dogs. You get my point? Yeah. There's like people like making hot dogs. You're like, where'd they get the meat? No, a lot of charities are a scam because I think that with this whole GoFundMe and all that, you always have people with bad motives.
Right.
So I think like at your guys' level, you're super wise. And you just ask questions like, what charities do you guys think that we should roll with? And that's what I do. But I love to educate people out of the position and place that they're in, and gives me a lot of joy in life.
So how do you go about? How do you know when you've penetrated someone? Like, what's the the psychological aspect or strategy behind actually penetrating people when it comes to a mindset thing? Because sometimes a lot of people are in their own way from a mental standpoint.
Yeah, no doubt
so
about it.
how do you break that?
Yeah. So I think to me, it's about getting better. It's never about getting cured. I'm helping somebody get better.
Not cure them.
I'm not trying to cure somebody. So if you've done your research, which you have, I work with the biggest rappers in the world. So I'm not trying to cure them, even if they're saying crazy, insane stuff. But I do want them to be better. I want them to find a place of peace, a mindset of tranquility, and this whole idea of mental health. The whole idea is to be psychologically and emotionally better. So better's pretty good. You know,
You can't cure it, right? It's
no, I don't think that we're ever cured until we pass away. I think that there's two things that we all go through at the same time: recovery and discovery. So right when I think I'm cured, somebody's going to sue me. Right when I think I'm cured, somebody in my family's acting up.
Right.
So I'm never looking for the cure. I know I'm going through recovery and discovery at the same time. And if you could ever get that mindset, man, you're in a good place. Because someone could bring you bad news and you just go, okay, that's life. Some's recovery, some's discovery.
Gotcha.
So your approach is to cure through mindset and not physical supplements and like antidepressants and stuff.
I think that there are times that you can come together as a collective. I do know that there are people that I am their life coach, if we can call it that way, that it has been good that they were on medication to even them out, in all fairness to them, because they were in a manic state. But more and more we're finding out the power of exercise. And as you guys know, more and more, you probably had guys on the show, the power of breath work. Okay?
Yeah.
The power of breath work, the power of exercise, the power of meditation.
Natural, like the normal human thing, sitting in water, going to the beach,
100%.
listening to the ocean. It's those things.
So if you guys were ever around me for a long time, like the thing that people say about me, they're like, Tim Storey seems like he's got like really cool music, slow jazz playing in his mind at all times. And I do. There could be a fire right there and I still won't get dramatic in the drama.
Wow.
But a lot of that is I train my mind to be this way.
So do you smoke weed or microdose?
That's a great question. I've never been asked.
Because the reason why I'm asking is because
I've never been asked that.
who helps the help?
Yeah.
So when Superman needs help, who helps Superman? So who helps the help? So what's your go-to? Is it microdosing mushrooms or psychedelics? Is it maybe drinking a wine, or is it smoking weed?
I'm loving this podcast because no one has had the balls to ask me that.
Well, I got them.
Okay, that's why I'm loving this.
Right.
That's like Deepak Chopra. Do you smoke?
Right. What's your thing?
No. So, and I would always answer you guys total honestly because I like you guys. But so number one, I don't.
Okay.
But I don't have a problem with people doing what they feel like they want to do. Okay. So for me, where I get a lot of strength is what I'm getting from right now, because I'm getting some young energy, but I'm getting a lot of wise energy. Okay. So I don't ever run from an empty cup. And part of the reason I get my cup filled up, like you just said, I feed off people's energy. Man, like I could be on the set of a movie, because we all know entertainers, and just like see a scene and see how they did it again and see this cinematography and see how that guy relit that, or be in the studio with people that we know. No, I get a lot of my energy feeding off humans.
Nice. Touching back on Robert Downey Jr., how did you build a relationship with him?
I think that what happened with us is there's a friend of mine named Brent who, very, very well known. So he had the Hyde on Sunset that everybody used to go to.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the early days. That's
Oh, yeah. Was this place called Hyde?
Yeah, Hyde.
Yeah, I've been Hyde.
You'd always see Paris and Kim in the early days.
Right.
And then he had Body English here with DJ AM. So he was the biggest thing in the 90s, 2000s, into today. All his stuff is dope still. So at Coachella, he does Neon Carnival. So he's a guy that introduced me to Leo DiCaprio, Cameron Diaz, Jared Leto, probably no less than like 50 celebrities.
Wow.
So what I began to be known as is that, Tim is a cool guy and he has answers. And so that's how I started with Robert, of just us having conversations. So I never divulged like the depth of conversations with people that I have, but what I have with these people, male and female, is trust, and I'm a good listener. Yeah,
It's a powerful skill to have.
Yeah.
A lot of people,
Because they can't trust people at that level. You think about it, somebody's always telling their business or leaking.
Well,
the story,
you know that.
selling the story.
you know that. I mean, that's why I think that even with this Jamie Foxx situation, at the time we'll release this podcast, it will still be news one way or another, but that's why no one really knew, like, well, what really did happen.
Yeah, no one's knows.
Yeah, because part of the situation is, who can these people trust? So I became like one of the go-to guys, and like within my culture, within my skin color, I became the go-to guy. But I think part of that is listening, caring, but also having some pretty good answers.
so you seem to be able to control your emotions very well.
Very well.
How can people watching this get better at controlling theirs? Some people have anger issues. Some people are depressed. What's some strategy there?
Yeah, the reality is that if you really like break it down to basics, okay? So if I get a thought, that's just a thought, okay? So that thought, what I do is I let that thought go around in my mind once or twice before I respond. Because people, the more successful you guys get, because you're successful already, but you're nowhere compared to where you're going. They're gonna jack with you nonstop. Okay, like you could be the greatest singer, and someone's gonna say something stupid at the end of the concert.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I'm telling you. Or you could be so proud of yourself, and then you end up at a family Thanksgiving, and they're saying something
That's happened to me.
that's not right.
Yeah.
So I am a master at the projection, like the old school days. Like when I was a kid, they had like the projector, and then remember the slide would go around. You guys at least seen this on YouTube. So someone can just say something really dumbass to me, and I just look. I'm just let the damn thing go around, and I don't just respond.
Okay.
No matter what it is.
So you let it sit for a bit before you respond?
100%. 100%. But
So you're not reactive, you're responsive.
yes, very much so. But the dope thing is, whether somebody's into this biblical story or not, but it's a dope one. So the whole thing about Jesus is he talked in parables. He was the master of the riddle and the rhyme.
Right.
He never told everything that was in his heart. The Bible says only a fool tells his whole heart. Because not everybody can handle the bigness in you or the bigness in you. I can, because I respect it and I honor it. Most people can't. So if someone would tell Jesus something, he would always come back to them with a riddle and a rhyme. And I started to pick this up at an early age. And the more I got around some dope people that were older, that were like rolling like this from all walks of faith, I think, man, that brother, he talks in riddles and rhymes. He ain't even telling the whole stuff, but he knows where he's going. He knows who he is, but he's not telling everything. So that's how I roll. I roll in riddles and rhymes.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is. Because you can frustrate a lot of people.
It's dope.
You can frustrate a lot of people. So that's where Kanye messed up, is giving his whole heart.
Yeah, but
Telling his whole heart.
that's my little brother and like so close. I was
Yeah.
with him for like 6 albums straight in that studio nonstop. But that's to me,
Yeah.
a lot of it is the challenge of what he's going through
Right.
with mindset, but being pushed and provoked.
Right.
Okay, so one day I was at the San Diego Zoo, and it was a big old gorilla, and he was taking piles of and throwing them at the people, and I thought this was so funny. So I found the zookeeper that was trying to stop him from doing it. So I said, let me tell you my background. I'm a psychologist and that. I said, why is that gorilla doing it? He says, because they're frustrating him. He feels provoked. So therefore, he was retaliating by throwing his crap at them. And so
do gorillas know that they're throwing their own at?
heck yes.
Oh, okay.
He knew what he was up to.
okay.
He was like, don't be messing with me.
Yeah.
Acting the way I'm gonna throw it. So notice about this, you could be having like the greatest day and people start pushing, provoking, disrespecting, right? It wants to take you out of that mindset, that place where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely.
So I think that with the Kanye, that he felt provoked and pushed, and that's why you would see these strange interactions with the paparazzi, because I could be with him maybe 18 minutes before that, and he was all chill,
fine.
and he's talking about like Art Basel, and he's talking about something he's going to do with Nigo. So yeah, it's like two different people.
Yeah, you see that with Justin Bieber and the paparazzi too.
Yeah,
No doubt.
I think with me too, what I started to realize is that I'm not a victim, I'm a participant.
Good.
So I
That's
have
good.
to then hold myself accountable too, because my reactions actually matter in the situation. Not whether I'm being provoked or what's being said to me, but it's also how I react. That can be the outcome. of
100%.
a good or a bad situation. So it's like, if you're the most important person in your life, then you have to act in that matter. Like,
Yeah, and I think that's the challenge and the privilege of being both of you. Okay, because now life has decided to go ding ding, right?
Right.
And say, okay, we choose you to be leaders. Now you have a lot of people that are following you. Okay, so you're leaders. So what I like to say is, man, when that calling is calling you, you got to step up.
Yeah.
I mean, Nelson Mandela was in prison for 25 years for something he didn't do,
Right.
but yet he continued to speak in parables, continued to walk in love, and continued to change a whole country.
A lot of people seem to have a negative mindset.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're very positive. It seems like.
Yes,
What's your
I am.
advice to people to sort of change their mindset to becoming more positive?
I think it's one step at a time. I think that the reality is you have to, number one, become awake. And
What's awake to you?
awake to me is if you just break it down in the dictionary, it's to be conscious. And like when you were a kid and you were a kid, we all three had moments where we got awake, where like maybe other kids had like cool Levi's and we did not, and then you notice that at school. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That could be like a awake moment, or someone had dope Converse but we didn't, and we go, oh snap, I mean, I don't have that much money. So awake is you become conscious. But once you become awake, you now have to take inventory. That's what most people are afraid to do. And the inventory goes in various areas. What's my mindset like? What is my strength of my mind? Okay. And what's the clarity of my mind? Okay. So awake, take inventory. And then the third thing, and this is really powerful, you got to partner with the right people. Because if you don't partner with the wrong
surroundings.
people, your surrounding, we're going to go to the wrong place.
So how were you able to find the right partners?
I think first it was being okay to be by myself. I think any real creator that has done like amazing things, like if you were ever to interview Timberland, these guys were a lot by themselves. Pharrell Williams, a lot
Same
by
way.
himself. Right, guys?
Yeah, I'm by myself a lot. I live by myself.
Right.
I'm always alone.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you got it.
Yeah.
So I think that we have to be okay in our own aloneness. And then I always like to say it this way. If you build your spot, life will put the spotlight on your spot. Like all the beauty that you guys are creating out of this studio, you're building your spot, and life is putting the spotlight on your spot. So I knew if I was creating dope recipes, people would kind of come and find my restaurant.
Come to you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
Right.
So a lot of self-work. A lot of self-work.
No doubt, because how does one become like, and now hear ye, you are the life coach to the stars.
Yeah.
You be a fool.
Yeah.
You be voted off the island.
Yeah.
No, I just got good at my craft. I'm not good at a lot of other people's crafts that people do some amazing stuff. But I became very good at my craft, but it did take a lot of loneliness, a lot of dedication, and just believing that someday it'd pay off.
And how important is reading to you?
Big time.
How often? How many books do you like? What's your goal to reach every year? Like how many
Yeah,
books?
I'm going to challenge this theory of so many of my friends, because I roll with those guys. It's talk about reading so much.
Yeah.
Because those are all my guys. Okay, I don't like that, because I think that it's almost like a lyric to a song. That when you hear a certain lyric, no matter who the person is, let's say if it's a Drake lyric, you know when that doggone next thing is coming, that next phrase is coming, right? And even like little kids, I see little kids like they're like they know the lyric. I think people are rushing through books so quickly that they're not taking in the lyrics deeply. So if I read Atomic Habits, that book that's so dope,
I love it.
I will literally marinate in that thing for 3 months.
Right.
And guess what's going to happen? It's going to come out of me.
Are you audio booking or actually reading?
For me, I'm an audiobook
I'm
guy.
audiobook too.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because for me, guys, my life is sometimes on airplanes.
Yeah.
So that's like my little meditation time of listening to amazing people. But try to take in what I'm saying on this. I would rather have you guys like take one dope book and marinate on it for a while. In fact, people are always trying to give me books, so I'll take them, but I'll be honest with you, I probably can't get to this for 4 to 5 to 6 months because I want to take in those other lyrics.
Gotcha. I'm the same way. I enjoy reading. I take time out every day and listen to audiobooks for sure. I don't finish it that day, but chapters. Yeah.
Why do you think a lot of celebrities have mental health issues? Do you think it's because their life is such a roller coaster of high highs and low lows?
No doubt. So it's like let's take even in Major League Baseball. If you are hitting like over 300, that means you did something not to get a hit 2 times and got a hit 1 time. But in the space of being an actor, you're getting rejected nonstop. Like you're up against 3 of the best actors or actresses, or 5 or 10 or 20. But I've seen some of these people on the set where the director could be brutal. Take 26, take 27. Man, I could wear on you. So I think that there's so much like rejection hitting you all the time. I'll tell you a cool story. Take me 60 seconds. I like Phil Jackson, who used to coach the Chicago Bulls, as you guys know, right? One thing that he said is that I work my players hard during practice, and that during the game I didn't call a lot of timeouts because I wanted them to try to sort out what was going wrong. I think too many people are calling timeout on everybody. Like like that sucked, or you had a bad day, or you're off, time out. Sometimes we need to just trust and let people sort it out.
Wow.
Yeah. But I also think that it's a lot of pressure to perform at such a high level, right? And not disappoint. And I think that actually in itself is a challenge and a struggle, because how do you continue to reach these highs and you don't know if you're still the same person, or is it going to grasp the audience like it did? So I think there's a lot of mental stress too when it comes to celebrities. And then they don't really have friends, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Sean, no, bro. I'm around these people. They don't really have friends.
Trust issues, right?
They're around they're around a group of people. There's a difference between a group of people and then friends.
You're exactly right.
A group of people, we're out together. A friend is, hey, Sean, what time is the game start? Okay, cool. We can actually conversate, and you have a trust in me. A lot of those guys are around they're useless. Not to say that they're useless human beings, but for the person, they're useless. So who do you go to?
I think you got that exactly right.
Yeah.
And so the way I write it in this book, I say, like, there's 3 levels of intimacy. One is the acquaintance, and we all have like a lot of people we know.
Yeah.
The second is like the friends and family. The third, you guys are gonna like, is the green room. So like, if all 3 of us went and spoke at a conference somewhere here in Las Vegas, right? They would say, okay, there's your green room. You can have 8 people there. There's your green room. You got 8 people. There's your green room. There's 8 people. So the green room is invited guests. I think we've all put people in our green room that should not have been there. Because the green room to me is a place of secrets. It's a place of safety. It's a place of seclusion.
Vulnerability.
It's a place of vulnerability. Yo, I can't have you in my green room.
Yeah. That means that I don't need to be around you.
Right.
And not to say that they can't, but as friends, we have to pour into one another. Sean should be able to come and talk to me about whatever. Yeah. And that stays with me. I should be able to give him advice about whatever. He should be able to give me advice about it. And we should be able to correct one another.
Right.
Yes.
That's
so
what
if
it's
you
about.
guys even noticed, like, I just came from a speaking engagement where everybody was clapping for me, okay? I came into the studio quietly.
Yeah, I didn't even know that you were here.
I just came in.
Kind of just appeared.
I just came in all quiet. And then I just, hugged you guys. And then basically what I'm saying is, I respect you guys for what you're doing. And right now, I was just an acquaintance at that point. Okay? Then we're getting along. You guys may upgrade me to friends and family. Down the line, we may collaborate and do dope stuff all over the world, and we're crazy in each other's green room. And so I think that that's a lot of how people need to approach each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you can't just bum rush somebody's green room.
Right.
Yeah, no. I only want to be around green room people.
Yeah.
Because they're going to stop you.
Yeah.
They're going to stop your impulses. They're going to stop your, the emotion aspect. They're going to speak life into you and stop you from doing a lot of things, from self-destructing. And that's the only group of people I want to be around.
Yeah.
I really don't need a group of 50.
Nah, quality over quantity. Right?
Useless minds around me. I'm there with 3 people, but we're strong.
Yeah.
And I had that mindset in high school, trying to be friends with everyone. But I was so upset back then. Yeah. Trying to please everyone. But once I limited my circle to 5 people, became really happy.
Yeah.
And I think that the idea of understanding that is really normal to us is that if we're not in the mood to talk a lot, we shouldn't talk a lot.
That's it.
If you feel like having a quiet day, don't answer your phone. And that's just who we are.
I've been practicing D&D a lot. I've never put my phone on D&D until 2 weeks ago, and I get the best sleep. I get to pick the time where I'm ready.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Because there's so much in quiet of rejuvenation. And man, the creative thoughts you can come up with, right? Like driving down the road with no music on and something that just comes to you, or just being quiet in some setting. And I think we really have to fight for those moments.
Absolutely.
And keep them sacred.
Absolutely.
Tim, that was amazing, man. What are you up to next? Anything you want to promote?
No. I'm just glad to be around you guys.
Appreciate you for coming, man, for sure.
What's the 79th country you're going to?
Israel.
Okay.
Israel.
Yeah, 79th is Israel. So I've been to that many, 78, but I've been to some as many as 80 times.
Wow.
So we're doing some dope stuff, like to change people's lives in Ukraine. A lot of humanitarian work. I'm working on a good movie with somebody that you know. And I like all that stuff, but right now I'm just in the moment and being with two world shakers and proud of you guys.
So if you ever need us for anything, we'll be down to do some humanitarian stuff.
Absolutely.
Change the world, shake it up a little bit more.
I love it. I think we're going to do a lot together.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Wayne, any closing comments?
Thank you guys for watching and follow me on Instagram.
Sean Kelly here. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Digital Social Hour. I'll see you next time.
Peace.